Dino Dini is back 25 years later with another Kickoff game. Dino Dini's Kickoff Revival is a spiritual successor to Kickoff 2 on the Amiga, and also the Kickoff Dino Dini Soccer on the Mega Drive. As you can see here, I'm playing international teams here with Wales and Northern Ireland. We know the result of that, but we won't go into that. As you can see in here, this is a retro game through and through. You've got the sound bites, which are extremely retro. You've got the graphics, which, well, actually, they're not as retro as they would have originally appeared. Obviously, the camera angles are a bit more 3D here, and you can kind of see more of a pan and the global around the arena. But all in all, the idea is to be retro. And I think that's one of the major problems with this game, is that football games have progressed massively since in the last 25 years. They really have. I mean, you only got to look at the annual releases of FIFA and PES, which are now on Frostbite and Fox engines. Massively detailed engines which provide more than just graphics and sound, you know. These have got emotions in the players and the AI. They've got recreated arenas. And then you look at the mode variety as well. You've got career mode, you've got Ultimate Team, you've got all of the different sort of competitions, all the online multiplayer. There's so much in these new football games that when you go to look at a retro game, while there's definitely 100% a place for retro on the market, I feel that football has been left, these old sort of football games have been left behind for a reason. I almost feel like as well, like the way Dino Dini has done this, he's actually made a brand new game. Tried to sort of appeal to sort of the modern current gen hardware, but actually it feels odd. Like it feels like it doesn't actually belong here. The control is just basically a one button flick between players, but that's one button is also used to shoot, that's used to pass, to dribble. You know, it's one button meets all, and that makes it extremely difficult to control and difficult to understand what's going on. And what these old games, as we know, they kind of didn't really launch with proper instruction manuals. They didn't really kind of give you much in the way of explanation of how to do things. And it's actually so bad with Dino Dini's Kickoff Revival that people have actually been tweeting him saying, "What do? I don't get this. Help me." He's actually had to release 4 PowerPoint slides to explain the game to people, which actually has made it more confusing, believe it or not. And another major problem with this is that there's no yellow and red cards in the game. No, really, they actually are coming in a future patch update. Red and yellow cards are not in the game. Players are still penalised. You can still get penalties in the game. But I mean, and as it should be, I mean, the tackles, as you've probably seen in this video already, are actually horrendous. They look really, really brutal compared to sort of like something in FIFA and PES, which are a bit more realistic. These look as if you're about to literally snap someone's legs from underneath them. Which, you know, it's difficult to obviously get that effect from a retro game, but the fact is it looks savage. And so something like red and yellow cards, either way, they're a core part of football. And how many of them have we seen in the Euros already, right? So it's an odd thing to say, yeah, we're going to patch that in the future update. What? So yeah, things like that kind of make this a very much a head-scratching game. On top of that, the mode variety, as I've said, is limited. The practice mode is one of the most convoluted, un-user-friendly things I have ever seen. It's horrendous. It's basically like, look, there's an old pitch in front of you, and there's sort of points on the pitch where it says if you kick from here, then you've got this kind of angle. If you kick from there, if you run from one side of the pitch to the other, then you've done this. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So you're probably better off just diving into one player against the AI and trying to understand things and just realizing and accepting the fact that you are going to lose your first few games. There's no two ways around it. A game is just not going to ease you in at all, and so you're really going to have to work to enjoy your time with it, which I think a lot of people of my generation might understand more, perhaps, and not being sort of ageist or anything like that, but I mean, we kind of grew up with these types of games. We know what they're like, and we also kind of, we feel that we can deal with it more. Perhaps we've got more patience for it, whereas the modern day gamer, whereas the way the tutorials have been presented these days, the way things have been set out in the game with, you know, your limited risk for a lot of reward, this game doesn't really appeal to that mentality whatsoever. So I think that's something to really be mindful of while you're playing this. But yeah, as I say, we're going to be keeping an eye on this for the patch updates, because I think that this is something that it's nice to see Dino Dini and his team are already basically saying, look, we're going to keep adding to this, right? So I think for me that's a good thing. My main issue is that games take a lot to draw you in these days. And if something like this is really sort of off-putting from the beginning, and people have sort of paid money for it, they're more likely to actually ask for a refund than they are to try and fight to try and play it again. Or just even completely just leave it on the shelf and ignore it forever. So I think what's going to be the real challenge with this is actually finding updates and patches that are really going to make this appealing to people. So, and I think more mode variety is definitely going to be top of the list, rather than, you know, forget the red and yellow cards, which should have been in there from the beginning. You're going to need more than just penalty shootouts and player attributes. The goalkeeper control sounds interesting, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. But generally speaking, this is a hard sell, and it's really not particularly a great game. But hopefully the patch updates make it a bit better. Thanks for watching. See you next time.